All right, may as well kick off. Hello.
Hello.
We did it. We did it.
At last, we're together.
Do we start it like, kia ora everybody, robetthollis here. Welcome to Savvy's Sessions, drinking alcohol under the bridge in San Francisco.
Kia ora, it's a pleasure to be here. Lovely to be with Robett.
Yes.
My dear Kiwi friend and drinking confidant, both throughout the pandemic, as well as for like the better part of the last decade,
Yes.
honestly, with our work with the High Tech Awards.
So for those who don't know, Savvy is one of the High Tech Award judges with me, which is cool. And cool, thanks bro.
Thank you.
And the concept of this is very simple, team. We're sitting here under the bridge and we're going to drink some booze and talk shit about some stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm excited we finally get to do it too.
I know. I feel like this has literally been years in the making.
I know.
You and I have been collaborating on a lot of different levels and been friends for a lot longer than we've had the opportunity to sit in front of the camera and actually shoot the shit.
Have I interviewed before for anything properly?
No. And I think we've been in the same speaking lineups multiple times, but not actually interviewed each other in any capacity.
I feel bad you haven't even been a guest.
I know.
I feel bad, like I've done like over 300 and I haven't even got Savvy in there.
It's all right. He's saved 312 or whatever this
We're
is.
at today, as of this, it's 303.
All right, I'll take the 303. It's better than a 404. The 303 is when you finally figure out how to work instead of the page breaking, which is the 404.
I also am into the idea of being able to do long form conversation. Like when I think about things I like movement, like being out. So this is like ticks that box.
Yes.
I like, like outdoors, ticks that box. I like good views, ticks that box. I like good banter, and I like drinking. So
I'm in. I mean, if this is,
so you combine all of it, it's good.
What we're trying to say is, if you enjoy this, please let us know, because we'd love to make it a regular thing, and the opportunity to talk about
stuff.
Tech, stuff. Let's just leave it at stuff. The opportunity to talk about stuff in a beautiful location with brilliant mind is a treat.
For those that aren't aware, Sav, in a tweet, what would your existence be best pulled into?
It is my dream to help other people achieve their dreams, and I do that through my consulting work at Savvy Millennial, where we make the future less scary and tell the stories of emerging companies and thought leaders. And I also am just deeply passionate about empowering the next generation. So I do that through teaching and a lot of other things. So it's kind of two tweets, I'll be honest.
How about I can also have a stab at it?
Let's do it.
NZTE Beachhead and go-to-market North American strategist for fast-growing Kiwi businesses looking to expand into the global markets. How about that? See? I know you, Sav.
Yes. One of the few people we were talking about.
You went like deep, and I was like, I'll give some practical shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's actually the pitch. The elevator pitch is, if you're a scaling New Zealand business, you should be listening to this conversation.
There you go.
If you are an expanding New Zealand business who wants to even get bigger, you should be listening to this conversation. And if you want to know about New Zealand business, you should be listening to this conversation.
One of the things that I always enjoy about our banter is we can go high-tech, intellectual, gnarly commercial, na-na-rah shit. And then the next second go like gnarly emo deep, like
hella.
Like,
it's one of the things, and it'll be a theme of the talk, is I've been exploring the relationship a lot between intellectual and sensitive, and I think that in and of itself is an interesting tension and dichotomy, and you've been one of the people exploring it with me really through conversation over the last year, and I love that about us. We can shoot the shit about our friends, we can take the piss out of something absolutely ridiculous or a scenario, or we can go into the deep onion layers of mental health as an entrepreneur, which I think is super important.
Oh shit, that was good. Jeez, there you go. Giddy up. What'd you get?
This is the bisque.
The bisque?
Yes.
I got ribs. All right, giddy up. So today we're going to talk about, and I think maybe the best way to start this is, there was two things I wanted to start with. One was the smartest hoe, and two is alpha emo. Mm-hmm. So who actually came up with the term alpha emo? Was that us on our last drink?
That was
session?
us. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Sure, mate. This is us. This is us at Zeitgeist. San Francisco's best dive bar, if you've never been there. It was us at Zeitgeist, and you were so nice to have a brainstorming session with me. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. And you were great to just have a jam sesh. Here's all my random shit on my mind, and you were the best because you summed it up in a way that I could never have quite put my tongue on, because I think I'm actually too close to it, quite frankly. It's kind of like the frozen ski chair and the tongue on the ski pole. It just wouldn't have stuck right. But I think that you really nailed it. And when we talk about leadership and we talk about intimacy and we talk about a lot of these mental health subjects that a lot of people are shy to when it comes to their Crunchbase profile or whatever is going on for them in the press, we forget that there's really two sides to who we are as leaders. And what you really nailed on the head for me and about the project was you can be an alpha and you can also be emotional. And that was such a nice gateway for me in the project. I think we did this actually early Jan or maybe late December, and it was so nice because I think I had always really struggled with my balance between being a very type A leader in the tech world, consulting with large, with rising startups, but also I'm super sensitive. An internet dog that I follow died yesterday and I cried. Like I am sensitive to the world in that way, and I don't think those things have to be mutually exclusive. And it always rocks me a little bit when leadership feels like it can't feel, and we're not robots. There's a purpose for the robots. That's not us. And I love that you helped me coin this term because it really sums up a lot of the exploration I've been doing around intimacy, not just in the sexual sense, y'all, but in the chosen family sense, in the things that bring us value and worth as beings. Intimacy could be kind touch during a yoga class. It could be a pat on the shoulder from a friend. It could be anything. But the reality is a lot of us alpha types really need emotional energy. So you nailed that for me, I'll be honest. Basically,
I'm trying to just claim on record that if it ever becomes a thing, I'm milking at least 10% of royalties. When the book is named Alpha Email, I will invite you on stage all the time and pay you well to be my interviewer. For as complex as I am, I'm very simple. And I just want to alpha emo. And
it's one of your gifts. I just want to highlight that.
Oh, thanks.
I mean that. You distill, the ability to distill and not conflate with buzzwords, which is something that Americans, like I'm doing right now, are really good at. Your ability to just trim away the fat and look right at the heart of the issue is brilliant, and it's one of the things I really respect about you as a friend.
Thanks, Sav.
Yeah.
So am I paying for this lunch or what? I'm paying. No, because what I wanted to say with alpha, so how would you describe an alpha emo? What is an alpha emo? If it was a tweet, what would it be? Oh, here's the official, my man. Thanks, brother.
Love it.
Appreciate it. Could I have another one of these in about 16 minutes?
16 minutes? Alrighty, I'm putting the countdown now.
My man. Thanks, brother.
2018 Lincoln Shark.
Thank you.
Cool.
And what was your name?
I'm Chris.
Chris.
Just like Chris.
Just like Chris?
So the guy I'm following right now is also Chris.
Oh, got ya.
Makes it look really easy for whenever someone asks for one of us, we both turn and...
Got ya.
It's great for now,
That's
confusing
great.
In the future.
Exactly.
We're being served by two wonderful Chris's.
Yeah,
Chris squared, if you will. Yeah. They're different Chris's, independent.
One is a burner. Mm-hmm. Are you also a burner, mate? Are you a burner?
Burner. I've been to a couple festivals, but I've never done the whole makeup there.
Yeah.
I've been lightning in a bottle a few times.
Oh, fun! So you're on the track.
Yeah, I'm working my way up to.
Yeah.
Or something again,
It's all right. The tents aren't bad either. But it is an experience. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thanks, brother.
Of course.
Thank you.
It's great. Is it the same one as the last one or a different one?
It is. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite wineries.
She's drinking it anyway. It wouldn't be fancy. She's like,
this is great stuff. It's nice and light.
There you go.
And it's fun. It's minerally. It's different.
There you go.
Yeah.
She'll just take a straw. Should be good.
I would blame you if you did.
You don't have to.
I appreciate it, bro. Thanks, Chris.
I appreciate the safe space that I've found here. It's one of my favorite restaurants in San Francisco for a reason. So
Table 93.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
So what is a alpha emo?
Alpha emo is someone who, and I'm open for definition here, just to be clear. This is an evolving definition. But an alpha emo is someone who is very driven, very strong in the boardroom, and confident in their ability to lead, to negotiate, to execute, but has deep
token male founder
with a empathy twist.
Yes.
And I think the reality is, I really feel that I feel very strong in my business acumen, but my heart is so big it feels like it's going to explode sometimes. And you were so nice to define this term. And I think alpha emo is someone who sees business as an opportunity, who understands capitalism, who understands how the even like startup ecosystem might work, or how the scaling company ecosystem might work, but still has high to severe empathy. And I say severe in a way where it's haunting sometimes. And I see this across my team. I have a propensity to hire alpha emos, which actually makes it easier for me to identify them as when something horrible happens in the world, when Russia invades the Ukraine, when there's a calamity against any sort of social injustice or the climate, my team is physically impacted. And it's not that we're soft or weak in the traditional sense, it's that we feel the pain of the earth or of the ecosystem struggling, or of a minority getting punished, and we stand in solidarity. Obviously we don't understand, but alpha emos have the capacity to both be cutting edge leaders on their front, but also feel the pain of people who are not in as privileged of a position. And I think we separate these two a lot as a culture.
So I'll take a crack at it as well.
That was not a tweet. I'm really not tweeting today.
That's fine. Type A alpha males running founders and CEOs that behind closed doors have deceptively deep feelings which they don't have outlets for.
I think that's very well said.
Also, you've slayed some of them, so you're trying to find a name for them.
I'm trying to gently bucket them.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
No, but I mean, you bring up a really good point. So part of why I don't want to call them out specifically is I think alpha females, that was interesting, alpha emos can be across the spectrum. They can be young, old, male, female, gender fluid, whatever that might be. But I will say from my experience explicitly, what I've uncovered, and per our conversation, just to parlay you a little bit, is I've had the pleasure of spending time with a lot of very intellectually driven folks over the last year and a half. And one of the things that I have found is their struggle is not to find people who have similar drive or have similar desire to change the world or to do good. The challenge for the alpha emo is to find a safe place to express their emotions. And whether that's intimately with a partner sexually, or just a best friend over dinner, or even just their network or their team, we are doing a really bad job, generally speaking. I think we're getting better, but of facilitating space for people to share fear or vulnerability or even compassion and sympathy.
Well, there's no safe spaces for those type of people to go to.
No, exactly, because you have to be the alpha.
They have to show the strength, they have to do the rah-rah, they have to be front and center, they have to be authoritative, they have to be whatever.
Course.
And those type of people that have the need for the emotional connection are going to then go and try and find that, right? And then they search that out. And so I think where the crossover was because a bunch of these crews could just go get, booty calls and hot chicks and just do whatever. The difference is they're missing the intellect for the understanding plus the emotion connection. And there's a difference between...
It's a psychological safety.
There you go.
It's a psychological safety, but the intellectual empathy. And I think that's actually something we don't talk about a lot in intimacy at all, is when we think about intimacy, we think about touch, and we think about even just like safe space or spooning or holding someone. Intimacy is so many different things in that. Intimacy is space for your intellectual prowess. It's for your questioning, for your curiosity. And when we limit the way we view someone to what they say on stage as a leader in a linear capitalistic way, we're missing their opportunity to lead in so many different ways. And
also, they maybe just want to be the small spoon.
Yes. I mean, straight up, y'all. If I may just share one anecdote, and we'll keep this relatively above board, but one of the more interesting things for me throughout this pandemic transitional time, to be clear, I've been single for 4 years, never married, no kids. I'm not in a position where I'm hurting anyone by my behavior, just to be explicitly clear.
But COVID happened, now you're waxed and vaxxed and you're on the prowl.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever's gonna happen. And I think one of the more...
Such a savage, it's so good.
One of the things that I think has been really interesting to me is I expected certain types of encounters or certain types of dominant personalities to step out and be excited to be back in the game again. What I didn't expect was the number of men who wanted to, quite literally and metaphorically, take off their mask, curl up, and be baby spoon.
Yeah.
And we're talking about
weapons, multi-millionaire weapons.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is not me just referring to some casual blokes. This is like legitimate, yeah, very much $100 million plus wealth sort of folks who literally just want to cuddle. So if you're feeling a little bit busted after the pandemic, I want you to know everyone's feeling a little bit busted. And I think that this was happening before, but it's one of those things that I'm seeing a lot more now, where people want to come to someone like me, or even just the friends they trust like us, to say, hey, I'm not feeling so hot, or I feel a little insecure. Honestly, maybe I feel great, but I could still use a cuddle, or someone to put their hand on my shoulder, or give me a nice hug. And I think we forgot how much that means.
So you've used this word, smartest hoe.
Yeah.
Now, if a guy was to call a chick a hoe, that's physical degradation or degrading, physically degrading for a female.
I think it can be degrading.
Okay, but you use smartest hoe, which gives an intellectual twist. So for those who are watching, what do you mean by the term smartest hoe?
I mean a woman who is very aware of both her sexual and intellectual power, and is not diminished by exercising either. So that's perhaps my best tweet answer to this dilemma.
But I'm wondering whether it's not so much a dilemma as the fact of you keep hitting a type with the guy that's if you were dumb and broke, you'd be a gold digger, right?
Yes.
Right? But
I'm not.
But you're not. You've done well and you're smart. But when you say smart as hoe, it's because there's the intellect with the alpha emo.
It's the paradigm. It's the paradigm. Yeah, it's meant to be a paradox. Sometimes could my behavior be viewed as illicit to some who have a different set of parameters around their personal behavior? Yes, absolutely. But on the flip side, the difference between the smartest hoe and someone who is manipulated by a man is I am fully aware of my power, of a situation, of what's going on, and I go into a situation both open-minded as well as square in my values. And I think, yeah, sometimes the context changes, or things are just an adventure, or they are what they are, but I don't engage with a man in power because I expect something from him. I engage because I'm curious. And I think that's fundamentally a difference. I think when you think of power dynamics sexually, there's usually someone who wants something from someone, whether that be money, power, sex, whatever.
Mostly physical.
Yeah, it could be physical. Also, like, you know, to your point, gold digger, to whatever. Yeah. Like, the point being, like, the smartest hoe knows she has the power, and knows that if she's curious about something, she can engage in that, or investigate that, or talk to that gentleman. But it doesn't come with the expectation of a relationship or money or anything like that unless it progresses to that. And I think a lot of people ruin their lives with expectation. Quite honestly, I think expectation is the bane of happiness very often. And I think one of the best ways to combat that is to say, you know, what am I curious about, and what do I just want to explore? And I think the character of the smartest hoe, it's also something that I refer to myself as throughout this book and this intimacy project. But she's savvy. She's not getting taken advantage of. And she's also, when I say hoe, I don't mean slut. I mean someone who is comfortable sexually exploring. And I don't think that and safely, I mean, my doctor would attest to the safety that I exercise. I literally just had my annual exam and my annual physical in the last 30 days. And the point is, I mean, I don't just say that just to be like cheeky and say, hey, you know, YOLO, I'm all sorted. But I say that to be, you're not a hoe if you're making the active choice to be sexually alive and to be active and to invest in relationships. And even talking with people, many of the men that I am quote unquote intimate with, it's not sexual intimacy. They're men who come over to my house to curl into my shoulder or give me a hug, to feel seen, to feel safe, to not have to lead for a moment, and to know that they can nestle. And it's not illicit. It's literally just a safety net of power people supporting each other, and I think that's a big part of it.
Is it I was just having a side tangent brain-wise. Most power, say sexually or whatever, if you look at those that go down the like BDSM tie-up and just destroying dudes, it's a similar version but emotional, right? Because they're looking for not the power shift but the emotional shift, where they have not the physical power assertion over someone, but actually the emotional depth or craving of wanting to have that other balance, right? Like, do you find...
I think that's very much it. Like, I get less the daddies who want to be whipped and more the folks who want to talk to an equal or feel safe. And I think...
And give you a foot rub.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And or play with my hair. It's just my favorite. And I think that... so good. And I think that there's a whole piece in that. Like, one of the things that's been illuminating to me, for better or for worse, is how much actually what we all need is fundamentally very simple. It's very rudimentary. It's something that in theory our friends gave us in elementary school. It's maybe braiding your hair or playing a little bit of catch with you or being a running partner. It's not, intimacy is not actually as viscerally, you know, BDSM, kink, choking, whatever that we think it might be. I mean, that is definitely a part of our sexual expression and something that I and a lot of other people really enjoy. But it's not about that exactly. It's about being able to say, what are the primal needs that I have as a being, and how are my friends going to satiate that? And that could be sport, that could be companionship like us. Like, we love to banter about our industry. We understand the world in a way that some of the people around us can't.
I just always find it, and I'm always inquisitive, so I like learning and then trying to see it from, especially with relationships and stuff, because I think one of the maybe dynamics that we have, which I think is good, is from a male to female. Most of the males won't go as emotionally deep or be open to show enough vulnerability to talk about the emotional needs that they actually may have. Because I'm alpha rah-rah, go nuts, you know, I'm physical.
But you're also
like
open and transparent.
Totally. And but also I think there's power when you can have those relationships without judgment with people too, even if you're not in their lane. But you can
we're the queen and king of non-judgmental friendships.
Yeah, just like
our lives are hella different, but we are very much supportive of each other's exploration. Yeah. And that doesn't mean it could be radio, it could be racy, it could be whatever. But you and I are here to hear about each other.
But I feel most boys banter for my boysy shit is like, yeah bro, mean, sweet. Like, if this dude's singles like, yeah bro, you hook up, shit, you flipping, you know, little slocation, whatever your shit is, like, yeah, mean, boom. Right. It's not, there's no depth to the underpiece of like, cool, like, did you actually like sync? Did you know, it's very...
Where was the brain sex? My question is always, where
you
is
love
the brain
that word,
sex?
So talk about that for a second, because you love brain sex.
I do love brain.
But it's funny because you're very physical, and I get that. But intellectually, there's a filter of that from the other side, which gives you a higher level of, I wouldn't say access, but more connection at a higher level.
Well, I think one of the great ironies about me that most people wouldn't expect, knowing that I'm a relatively sexually plugged in person, is that I won't have sex with you if I don't want to have brain sex with you. Yeah. I have to. If I am not intellectually stimulated, it's not there for me, and not even in the traditional just disposable sense. I don't see people as disposable. And even if it is flighting, like I understand certain experiences aren't forever, but I very much, if I'm not attracted to your brain, I can't be attracted to your body. And it's a really, really, really fundamental thing for me.
Because I'm not going to say most guys, but let's say
I mean,
Most guys.
I think most humans. We can say most
No, but
humans.
like most successful men don't give a shit about the intellect of most of the younger hot chicks they slay. They literally are like, dude, she's younger and she's hot.
Yeah, she's got great tits and she's got a huge ass. Yeah.
Booty, thanks for coming. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Boom. But I'm almost yet to meet a dude who's like, oh man, if I can't intellectually have brain sex with him, if I'm not having brain sex, I'm having body sex.
Introduce him to me.
But isn't it such an interesting filter? Mm-hmm. Especially in the world, I mean, you understand Silicon Valley, you understand tech and all this other shit. It's like
I can appreciate humans.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of my dating history, a lot of my intimacy history, it's not what you would expect, because from a surface vanity level, because I want to love your brain. And that goes for my friends, that goes for my chosen family, even if they're not in my sector, that goes for the people that I want to take their clothes off. I just can't do it if it's not there. Like, to me, it's very vapid, and I understand why that's different.
But you've got to filter with it.
Well, yeah, and exactly. Sometimes friends are like, oh, I can't believe you don't get laid in the valley. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah.
It's got to hit these.
But like, I want you to be able to play ball. I want you to be able to banter. I would love to be able to invite you to lunch with us. Like, and I don't feel that way about a lot of people, and it's not, I'm open to you wherever you are. It's not that, but it's much more, if I'm not seeing it, I'm not going to fake it.
Yeah. I get that.
I'm not going to. Yeah.
So, if you were, I just don't even, like, okay, say with your needs and wants for a man, what percentage of other females do you think have the same criteria or filter of that type of, if I can't have, like, even just a thing, like, if I can't have brain sex with you, I want normal sex with you. I don't want to judge a percentage, but what percentage of other females do you think have the same mentality when it comes to the intellectual needs first before the physical needs?
I'm reticent and hesitant to speak for any other females because it's not exactly my place.
Yeah. But
if I were to ballpark, I actually think it's higher than people would suspect.
I'd say it's higher for females than it would be for the males.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of women, I mean, I'll speak for myself here, the things that I look for, beautiful.
Appreciate it, brother. My man. Thanks, Chris. Cheers.
Although, which one of these am I supposed to use? It's only me drinking here, so.
That was the taster, I think. Was the second.
I know, but I okay, I was just checking. I think that a lot of people, they don't know how to identify what it is that really fulfills them, and I think they look at what's on paper, and that goes superficially as well. So like, I want a guy who's taller than me, or women are almost as guilty of this as men. I want this specific image, and the reality is, what I want is a feeling, and this is how I feel about my business partners. This is why intimacy is a really big part of what I'm working on right now. I want to feel this way with my business partners, with my allies across the universe, as well as with my partner. I want to feel like we're on the same team.
Yeah.
I want to feel like we want to create and do the best together. It's not gender-based or vanity-based, and I want you to be excited about me.
Chris.
Thank you. Because of what we can create, not just what I look like or just what the subject line is, you know?
No, I get that. Is it intimacy based or is it like emotional based?
I think intimacy and emotion are really similar.
Yeah.
I think they're almost
type of intimacy.
Yeah, I think when we think about, I think intimacy has been branded to various sexual touch, but I don't actually think that's what it is, and that's sort of what I'm trying to explore in my book and multimedia project is intimacy is that comfort we feel with friends. It's that safety. To me, intimacy is as much as intimacy is a thrill sexually, it's also a sense of psychological and physical safety.
Yes.
Intimacy is I can tell you anything because, like, I feel like I can tell you anything. We're great. I tell you more shit than I tell half the people I fucking talk to on the reg because I trust you, and that's a form of intimacy. That and I also know actually fundamentally why I do that. And you were talking about this earlier, is because I know you don't judge me. You've chosen me as a friend, no matter what shape I take in our engagement, and that's actually a really powerful thing. And I think a lot of people, per our earlier other conversation where I won't throw anyone under the bus is like, some people build relationship based on your position at a company or build relation on your position in an ecosystem. And quite frankly, I that's fine, and I get why people do that. But fundamentally, as we talk about friendship, something we both really care about right now, I want people who are going to love me no matter my shapeshift. And if my shapeshift is technology thought leader, which is what it's always been, or you and I are both ambassadors between New Zealand and America for companies, that's a huge thing. I love that. If I go full hard out, smart as toe, and all of a sudden everyone's empowered by the fact that I'm not afraid of having a sexual identity and being a founder, like, I know you're going to support me on that. And I know even some of our friends potentially in the government and elsewhere might support me on that. And that's a different level of confidence, but to me that is intimacy to a degree. That's people knowing that they're not buying you for what you sell on the shelf today. They're buying you intimately because they know you're going to be a great product no matter what. Or a great person.
No, I get that. I read that as they're back the jockey, not the horse. Mm-hmm. They don't care. They don't care the vehicle of temporary relevance through positional power. It's the driver of the thing, which is like, I mess with this person regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
And on the friendship thing, what I think is awesome is my circle of close friends commercially don't even touch. They're so spread.
Totally.
It's so disconnected from like dollars that it makes it so much more purer, because there's this filter of
they're all just homies.
All homies.
Yeah, it's just
like I absolutely
homies.
love it. I think it's probably one of the coolest. And weirdly enough, is I was just thinking about this the other day. This idea of this.
I love that.
This triple baked 10-year pie. I know it sounds stupid, but I've been thinking about this triple baked 10-year pie.
Okay, tell us about the pie.
So you've got a triple based 10-year pie is when you're 25 years old and you're all on this first base, right? Okay. And you stay in your lane.
Is this like the potato space?
This is potato space.
Yeah, we can speak Kiwi meat pie right now.
So Kiwi meat pie. So first level is you're 25, and me separately, I'm in my own lane, just like I'm on my own shit. But 99% of others are in this triple baked pie. And what happens is, say if you take the agency landscape of like, let's say, you know, the Saatchis, the FCBs, the Dentsus, the whatever else in New Zealand, right? Over a 10-year period, if the average like churn rate for a CMO, I believe, was 22 months, I think was the number.
Oh, wow.
And CEO was 40 or something. Like, it was within...
That's pretty short either way.
It was in about 3 years. 3 years.
Pretty short either way.
So I came up with this idea with this decade-long triple-decker pie where you go, okay, first 3 years, everyone's in like the same bubble of, say, agency world. And then within 3 years, everyone's gone like, they're still in the bubble, but they've gone to one of the other lanes.
Right.
And then 3 years later, they're on the other one, but they come up one level. And then they were the like junior exec.
Leading the senior global team for whatever.
And now they're like regular exec, and now they're maybe on the junior leadership team or senior leadership team, and then the general manager. And basically within 10 years, they've built up, they're still in the bubble, but it's the 3-layered pie. So then when you come in and you touch any organization at any level, because you've interacted with either one of them at one point within the 10 years, everyone knows you within their own circle, because the second they say your name, someone within that circle has been with you on one of those other levels.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so one of the things I'm really interested on is, like, I'm only 36 now, but, you know, I started dabbling a decade or so ago. You know, I see, like, perfect examples. This morning on LinkedIn, I saw someone I knew from this one company is now the general manager, market manager of marketing for this other insurance company, and I'm homies with the CEO.
This is such a thing in New Zealand, too. Can I just say, like, more so I don't like to do the America versus New Zealand rant very often.
It's a thing.
But I just need to say it right now, because coming from a country of 5 million versus coming...
No, all done, bro. I appreciate it. This is awesome, Chris. Thanks,
mate. Coming from a country of 5 million...
And I'll get one more in about 12 minutes. Perfect, my man.
400 million, roughly, almost now. It's a very different level of scope.
Yes.
And one of the greatest gifts, and one of the reasons I think that I've personally been able to impact New Zealand in a way that humbles even me when I think about it so quickly, and by impact I mean just reach a group of people systemically quite quickly, is you are all 2 degrees from each other. The United States is, we are fundamentally on the 6 degrees chain. New Zealand is very much the 2 degrees chain, and when
if not 1.
Oh no, I think actually quite like, I mean, I'm saying 2 degrees because that's the
Kiwi shit,
the brand as well as sort of the colloquial saying. But the point is, if you are not really just calmly aligning, not even intentionally with some sort of fiscal motivation, aligning with your peers, you will become so much stronger. I mean, I fundamentally believe the water level rises when we rise together.
Agreed.
In New Zealand, there are only so many of you, honestly, just like sheer numbers, that are business owners, that are conversation leaders, that are working with the government or working with big corporations or doing these big deals. And if you are sitting there jealous, you are really missing out. There is so much opportunity to be an ally and to be just a friend.
But most of the, thanks Chris, cheers mate.
Cheers.
But with that though, the frustration piece I'll find with it is, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, was, oh awesome. What was that?
Perfect.
What was that?
I got stuffed artichokes with goat cheese and prosciutto.
Bro. Appreciate it, it's awesome. Geez, this is great.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, mine's great. Well, I feel a bit pumped. One of the things that, unfortunately, I think, and you probably attest to it too, is Jack Harlow had a rap saying in this verse, and he said, "The ones that hate me the most look just like me. You tell me what that means." And it was a saying of, and within a lot of the industry that I've seen, especially from a female side, Māori side, there's a few angles. Those that are in a position where they should be the ones to pull up, don't, because they're threatened from those that look like them. And it's a saying, like, you know, he said it in his rap, was, you know, those that ones that hate me the most just look just like me. You tell me what that means. And I thought about it. I've been thinking about it for a little bit. And I
love that you're thinking about this. He DJs with one of my friends in Vegas.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. So Jack Harlow, my DJ Flight. Shout out to DJ Flight, who I went to high school with, just to talk about my OG.
Oh jeez.
Just to talk about my OG boys.
That's
all
so
right.
good.
Very few things I can claim OG. My boy out at Zook, Brian Sosa, I see you. Maybe I shouldn't even say your real name, but DJ Flight opens for him, for Jack Harlow. He actually, I was there in Vegas a couple months ago, and he opened for Jack Harlow. That was actually after that. It was at Resorts World at their club. It's called Zook. But he was. I mean, Brian opened, DJ Flight, opened for Jack. And no, I've always noticed that the people who are least in my court are tall blonde women. And I think we're coming to a place where that's not the case anymore, or at least those of us that see it, because I just want to raise everyone. People don't realize that there's room at the top. We all thought there was token weirdness, and it's not like that. And especially when it comes to a country like New Zealand, y'all are so small and the world is so big. If you lever each other to get up, I mean, it really is a water level rises together situation.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
On some real shit, what have you had more tension against you from? Power alpha females in New Zealand, or alpha males who probably just want to drill you? Or just in general, but mostly they also probably try to drill you.
It's a tough question.
Okay, what's more threatening? What have you found more threatening in the ecosystem? Females or males?
I mean, physically, I've been assaulted by more males. So
jeez.
So I mean,
you say assaulted?
Yeah. Oh, full on, mate. I mean, I've talked about this very publicly. I've been assaulted in multiple situations.
Oh, publicly? You haven't told me this.
Oh yeah. I mean, my father was the first male to assault me.
Oh, jeez.
For a long time. And then beyond that, I've been assaulted by venture capitalists and everyone in this industry. I mean, to choose a life in tech as a woman, as a leader, is to choose a life of assault. And I don't mean to say that.
Stuffed.
It's stuffed, but I'm telling you the truth. If you know a woman in tech, she has been sexually assaulted by
piss off
1, if not 15 different people, and it could be as subtle. By subtle, I mean it's equally violating no matter the level of invasion. But it could be as subtle as the wrong hand on the lower back, or like an ass grab. Or it could be, my most blatant was a man literally sticking his hands down my pants and grabbing my pussy, just like...
What, in public?
Yeah, just like Donald Trump.
No, piss. Where? Or at a party or
From
something?
San Diego after a Motorola launch event.
Okay, out of all those, what percentage was alcohol related? Not 80%?
Yeah, 75.
Jeez. And what do? You punch him in the face?
Report it, call the cops.
And what happened?
Nothing.
That's whack. Has any of that happened in New Zealand?
Not really, no. In New Zealand, the one thing is, I will say,
that's stuff.
and it's possible because my personal boundaries in New Zealand and like where I sit in New Zealand, I sit in a position of respect.
Power, yeah.
And I'm very lucky and grateful for that. But no, I mean, no segment of the world has harassed me more than venture capitalists and leaders in the Silicon Valley.
Oh shit!
And it's ironic sitting here still being someone who works here because I believe in the work that I do. I believe in the people that I help, and it's just been a matter of reporting, getting ignored for the startups I've worked for the venture capitalists I've worked with. It doesn't matter. They all think they're above it, and especially it's the unattractive, unmarried, I don't have my shit together, and I'm emotionally incapable types who will assault you, and it's okay, let me move your hand, let me document this with the group, or please don't touch me like that. Also, I'm still an advisor to this company, so what do? I can't tell their VC to completely fuck off. I have to have some sort of decorum. So, I mean, someone asked me a couple years ago if I had a daughter, and I don't have kids yet, but if I had a daughter, would I want her to do the career I had? My reaction was immediately no.
Jeez.
And it's not no
That's
because
stuffed up, man.
I don't think it would be great. It's if I hadn't been abused by my dad, I couldn't have handled the abuse I get from the men around me. And I thought it would get better, and like it gets like 5% better every year. But the real reality is men have to hold men accountable. And what happened, I can only speak for the Valley. What happened here,
that's stuff.
And New York. What happened here was, I had to leave one of my startup jobs because the CEO sexually assaulted me. And
do you sue him? You punch him in the dick? Like, what the fuck?
You can only do as much as you can do. You're also a shareholder, so you don't want to lose your equity. And you're like stuck in a board situation. Like, if you're a young woman.
Amazing, bro. Incredible. She hasn't done shit yet, but I'm eating. That's awesome.
Of course, Robett, always calling me out for my inefficiency as an eater. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But it's spicy, and I think
it was uncomfortable as shit.
Yeah, I just don't think people realize.
Thanks, brother.
The way the conversation goes after, and I'm not even trying to complain. Like, it's not even me like, oh, I'm this hot girl in the Silicon Valley who gets all this attention. It's not about that. It is an unfair conversation across the board, and it gets exhausting. Like, the only thing that's exhausted me in the Valley is not my output. It's balancing being treated like a T-bone steak and also trying to be a founder, trying to be a voice, trying to be and understanding who is using me for the sexual side of it, maybe, or versus who is actually trying to empower me as someone who can elevate their team, their brand, their whatever. And it's a shitty thing to have to balance. And I really don't think men struggle the same way with balancing, is this person hiring me because they want to fuck me, or is this person hiring me because they think I'm the best for the job?
See, that shit's so whack.
And it happens
all the time.
A lot. And it sucks because I really believe I'm great at my job and I want to serve you, and if I'm not, I'll refer someone else. And it's been really heartbreaking throughout my career to find myself at these junctures and think I earned it, and then have this guy put his hand in between my thighs.
Fuck.
And to know that that wasn't about that at all versus other situations. And part of why I actually want to just shout out to the women in the world is,
let's go.
Over the last 3 years, and especially before the pandemic, the people who were advocating for me were not, men have advocated for me a bit, and they're a big part of my career. It was only men in the Silicon Valley to begin with, so of course there's been that, and there are plenty of good ones, but it was women advocating for me. The woman who helped get me on NBC Nightly News and the Today Show, my producer, Kiara, she's a woman, she's a very strong woman who brought me onto AARP's thought leadership and put me on the same stage as Madeleine Albright and Adam Grant and very famous people, was a woman, was Ramsey Alwyn, and she's now the CEO of the National Council on Aging. Like, women empowering women who see other women who have been disenfranchised or even not is actually what's unfucking this, and men have sort of helped it, but it's sweet because people think, oh, it stopped a while ago. This guy grabbed my pussy, handing me a prototype in a Pelican case only 2 years ago, and that was fully clothed in a public place, and that was deemed as inappropriate, or deemed as appropriate rather, excuse me. And it's never inappropriate to touch anyone, let alone like that. And when I reported it, the CEO of the company said, do you think we can teach him a lesson rather than suing him? There isn't a lesson to be taught about touching a woman's genitalia. That's a fire and that's a sue.
Do you think, like, what percentage of 100% of women that are in, I wouldn't say tech, but let's say tech, do you think have dealt with sexual harassment in the Valley? Let's say in the Valley.
85%.
Piss off.
Of some form, whether that be work discrimination.
So, second question.
If not more, probably 100%, honestly.
Do you think you would have, do sometimes you wish you were 400 pounds and just a flippin' heifer that no one wanted to touch? Would it have made it, like, because they would have validated, so let's say for example, you get a role, you think it's because you're dope at doing what you do, but then they try to do some sexy dumb shit, and you question yourself of like, wait, am I here because to flip it, I've been in situations where I've ticked the box for, it's different physically to culturally, but let's say I've been in multiple rooms where I have felt and known that I wasn't there because of what I brought to the table intellectually or how I felt or thought.
You're a young Maori boy.
I was in the flipping thing because I was a young Māori boy.
Yep.
And I'm like, you cocksuckers, you pieces of shit, stuff you guys, but you don't know it at the time, and then when it happens, you're like, you feel like used and exploited, right?
We feel like the obligatory, like.
Yeah, you're the token. You're the token. So going the other way, if you would you? Yeah. Do you think it would be? Does it make you feel shit where you have to question why you're in the room?
I belong
Sometimes.
in the room.
No, I know.
And but I mean, I used to wonder that. Like, I used to be the token female. I was.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was like I was like the token. I used to joke, forgive the vulgarity, but like the token badge on the panel, or like the person who would get brought in.
Token, yeah.
To create at least some sort of gender diversity in our very non-diverse industry.
Token.
And I mean, super token, just like you. And at first I loved it because I was like, oh wow, I'm here.
I'm in the room.
And then I realized why I'm in the room, and I was like, ooh, actually, if you didn't call me first and you're calling me last, like, this is maybe not the thing. And so for me, it's been a bit of a process around education. Like, so if somebody puts me in that position and says, oh gosh, we became really imbalanced, I said, well, it's 2022, you should be on top of this. The way that you do that is to call me first rather than last, or you call a Maori friend first. You don't show up to us at the end and be like, oh, we need someone who's of color or a minority or.
Dude, so I call this thing, it's called foa. So in snowboard world, right? We do a slope style competition. Slope style, you basically go down and you do jumps and rails and shit, right? So you do a jump, rails, whatever. You get to the end, you get a market of 100, life's good, you hit the thing, you get the win. Right, great.
Yeah.
When it comes to the jumps, there'd be a small side and a big side. So on the small side, it'd be like 20 foot, into the next jump will be like a 30 foot, last jump will be 40 foot. And then to the right of that would be the bigger jump, and it'd be like 30 foot, 40 foot, 50. Yeah. Exactly, right? Yeah. So it's like small side, big side. And then what would happen is, like say in the female side, is basically most of the chicks, the majority of the time, would all just go to the small side. Like straight air, front three, back three, whatever. And then the chick who'd usually win would go big side, and they'd hit it, and then they'd get to the end and be like, oh, who won? We're like, oh, so-and-so was, this or that or whatever. And then someone would go, oh yeah, that was good. ... for a chick. And then it was like, oh, that was dope for a chick. And I was like, no.
That was dope.
And so it was like, that was dope because it's dope.
Yeah.
And so it was like, instead of for, it was and. So it was like, that was dope. And she's a chick. Not, that was dope for a chick. And when it switched to business, I've noticed that, and culturally of like, yeah, that was good. Like I guess because he's a trust fund baby. Well, that was good because for a minority founder. Oh, that was good when you got flipping rich daddy. But that was good. It's like no, stuff that. It's good because it's good, and
it's good or it's not.
It's a founder, and it's a female, and it's a Maori, it's a Pacifica, it's a whatever. It's good because it's good.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Well, and I think merit is merit. And I really...
That shit pisses me off, man. I get so worked up about it because it's like...
Well, I've hated it so much. I mean...
Fuck, it's so...
Even there's a lot of, female... Even like we were talking about, me raising a female fund. It's not that I'm opposed to that. I think that would be lovely. But one of the things that when you make it female, males don't participate. And it's a really unfortunate situation, and it was strange for me. Like, I was always kind of the token female in a situation, or especially in consumer tech, we represent 18% of the industry. There's just really not a lot of us out here. But when I became a Forbes 30 under 30 in consumer tech, all of a sudden I was that person people could pluck without really asking questions and say, oh yeah, well she's competent. I said, what about...
You've been validated through brand.
Exactly. I said, what about this actually... This is the thing I applied for. This is an award system. This is a media company. What about this actually validates me as an entity? Nothing, really. Like, it's a nice accolade. It's a nice brand, but it's not the end-all, be-all. And I think the way that we demarcate what is a successful weapon, to your word, in terms of people, is we look at it really the wrong way. We look at the companies they've worked for, we look at who's invested in them or whatever, but it's not actually what does this person possess in terms of capacity to help companies, to help the world, to help others. And like, if we look at who can elevate others, it's not that same.
So on elevation for a second, right? What do you think New Zealand needs the most of? Because we're pretty similar in the fact of we both love New Zealand. We're both here in the States, but we have a deep desire to see more New Zealanders win. And my always thing I keep saying is like, New Zealand wins when New Zealanders win. We're not fighting against North 100%. Versus South, East versus West, stuff, all that shit. It's New Zealand.
Oh no, it doesn't.
Not
none
against
of that
the world.
matters.
It's
the
to
fact
the world.
that New Zealand fights itself is
so whack.
Pet peeve, just to be very clear. Yeah.
How, if you were to try and elevate New Zealand, what do you think we're missing the most right now that's holding back Kiwi businesses and founders?
Peer support.
Peer support.
It's no question for me. It's literally, and it breaks my heart to say this, New Zealanders are, and I say this with love to everyone there, unnecessarily competitive against their fellow New Zealanders. Your fight is against the challenge that you're solving, the problem that you're solving, and the global market. Your challenge is not against fellow Kiwis. More than one company can export to solve a problem outside of New Zealand. There's more than one company doing Monica honey. There is more than one company exporting New Zealand lamb. You have to be kidding me if there is only one solution to your greatness. But the thing that hurts everyone is not elevating the stories that are thriving. And okay, great, you don't have to tell your number one customer about your competitor's success. I get that. You don't have to be the messenger for that. Yep. But what makes me sad is we're really a global community now. The whole world doesn't give a crap about where you live or your border or where you're taking your Zoom call. And I see New Zealand struggle to support each other. Every New Zealander should be writing a LinkedIn post about another New Zealand company once a week to say, hey bro, fucking see what you're doing, mate. Sure, like that's fucking dope. Like let's fucking go. Whatever it is, like if whether that's your agri-tech company or your media brand, or it's you and I doing a podcast that I hope you all love to watch all the time, whatever that is, people should be throwing that in the tank, because one of the things that we do here in the US, I mean, as much as we're diluted and there's a whole bunch of us, the squad shows up. And someone was asking me how we were going to launch a part of my new media project, and I said, I got the first 1,000. And I look forward to the first 10,000 and the first 100,000, but they were like, oh, I'm really nervous about this aspect of it. And I said, no, I have the first 1,000 people we can email to take the step to help us punch. And as long as our message is strong.
So you think it's more supportive in America than New Zealand?
Ironically, yeah. Because New Zealand won't support each other. Like, I think it's actually...
On the ground where it counts.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, like, I think New Zealand could punch New Zealand companies up through the noise way easier. And I think certain groups do this. But the thing about my tribe in the US, I mean, we have competed against the Snapchats, the Facebooks, the whatever. We're used to insane competition. So if you want your content or your startup or your idea or your show to pop above the noise, you need to rally. You know, the standard saying is 1,000 people will punch you to your first 10,000, and then from there it goes viral if it's gonna, or you know, it gets that traction. And I think the nice thing about the US squad is I don't deploy them often, but in the moment that I need to deploy them, hey guys, this really matters to me, could you help me lift this? People will take the 10 minutes to lift it. And that's a different, and it doesn't matter if we're in the same industry. It doesn't matter if I'm launching a competitive product to other friends of mine who have a podcast NFT like situation going on. We know that in a country of 400 million listeners, we can have multiple people who tune into different stuff, but we help each other. And even if it's gritty, and that's how you learn, some people won't do it. But New Zealanders are always reticent. They'll be like, oh, well, I don't know, somebody else is doing that. I'm like, you do understand there are billions of people in the world who could use your products.
When you talk about peer support, are you saying it's the founders for founders, or are you saying it's from the leaders pulling up? Like, is it the magnets between each other, or the magnets?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. So I think it is very much, in some circumstances, it's founders helping founders, but honestly, I think that's actually more competitive, to your point. I think it's leaders pulling up. It's when I make the call, like and I do this very rarely, but if I really need something to get lift and I reach out to my network, it's everything from state legislators and attorneys who run big casinos or big things across these states. I want to cross demographic. So if I want to just get popular in the tech world, I know how to do a press release and get that hype. If I want to really make an impact, I need to call on everyone from the book nerds I know, to the gaming nerds I know, to the politicians that I know, and say, hey.
The troops get rallied quicker here.
Yep. Well, and the troops understand, if the ask is really simple, I need to send one email with this 3 lines of text to the most important people in your circle, and it could potentially make a magnanimous difference for my business.
Commercially,
People will do that, and especially if it's really clean. In New Zealand, it's oh, well, how does this compare to, you know, so-and-so's business, and how does this, why? Just send the email. Just make the LinkedIn post. And I get wanting to support certain friends, but what I think gets lost is the commercial market is so huge, really, compared to New Zealand or even the United States, quite honestly.
Well, it's 1%,
Yeah, exactly.
The entire market is 1% of America.
Exactly. So why, like, we're all still trying to prototype and iterate. Why not help each other get to a data point where we can either confirm or deny that our business is meant to be successful, and we can help each other do that just by elevating the conversation? Like, I really don't. I mean, I'm a capitalist, and I believe in a lot of socialist stuff in terms of social support, but I don't understand how we don't help each other more. I mean, I'm the first person to throw out a friend survey or help a friend out, or also, and I want you to help me out. Hey, I need topics for Intimately Savvy. I'm trying to answer all these questions about intimacy. I'm trying to answer all these questions about how we find value in life.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is incredible, by the way.
Delicious.
Unreal, man. So good.
Yeah, clearly you're really hating this.
So good. So good.
Thank you.
And the horseradish is punchy as shit too, dude. Usually it's like creamy and like blah, but it's just like...
No, it should be punchy. That's how horseradish should be.
It's aggressive.
Really to the face, right?
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. It's great. Thanks, Chris. Cheers, mate.
May I have a double shot of espresso? Thank you.
Like 4 shots of Jaeger? I don't know. Like, no, I'm just,
I was going to say, let's go.
Totally fine.
Let's go.
The double espresso.
Appreciate it. Thanks, brother. So, good banter. It gets me... I always consistently get inspired and depressed. You know? Like, I get so hyped of the opportunity of what I know exists. Like, let me tell you,
that is the entrepreneurial emotional arc, just to be very clear to you. Like, that is our life. We are constantly inspired and depressed.
but with, say, New Zealand specifically. So, I don't know if I told you the story about the gnarly vice president. I won't say the name because he'll see the thing. I golf with this whipper. He's insanely gnarly.
Okay.
Like $1 billion crazy.
This side or that side?
This side. Crazy shit.
Okay.
Right? And one of the things I always think is, like, I never say who I'm with, I never say what I'm talking about. Anyway, I golf with this crazy billionaire hedge fund dude. And I was talking to him really passionate. I don't know if I told you this story. I was really passionate about, like, dude, I just want more New Zealanders to come over, like New Zealand to global. Like, I want to see more New Zealanders. Blah, 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 his whole thing. And he was like, "Hey, cool, man. Like, yeah, sweet, bro. Like, so what's like the total like capital, that like PE VC market?" And I was like, I think it's about, I don't know the number. I think it's about 2 billion. And he goes, "Yeah, that's kind of just too fractional for me to really."
I was going to say.
He goes, like, it just ripped my heart out. He goes, "Yeah, it's probably a little too fractional for me to care about, but," and he goes, my last round was 18 billion. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "Yeah, like, I know you love that." He's like, "We got enough show in our backyard right now." And because what I was trying to figure out is,
no, I know you were trying to find the angle.
I was trying to find the angle. I was like, how does this small thing, which I really care about?
No, you're like me. You're like, how do we punch it up?
How do we punch it up? And
I do really care about it.
I really care about it. And he goes, "Look, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. We're in like the 7th tee or some shit, a little par 3.
Oh god, this is
like, we're golfing.
Perfect though. You're like, you're perfectly in the middle of the course. So you just have to sit with this.
Yeah.
He's just like, you're too small to care about.
And he goes, your market. He goes like, he's like, how do you say it? He's like, "Look, bro, not trying to sound like an asshole, but unfortunately your market's just a little too fractional for me to give a shit about."
Fractional.
I was like, "Oh my god."
I mean, the term on Twitter is ratioed, right? When you get ratioed by somebody else subtweeting you, and
you know, weirdly, what I thought at the second he said that, I was like,
fractional is just
my entire market of what I care about. It's like, yeah, it's like, cool, bro, yeah, sweet, but anyway, and then he just went on with his day, like, it's like the fuck. And I said, and at that moment, I remember,
we really do care.
I really cared.
No, we both care. I mean, we are. There have been people who are like, "Why are you so invested in the New Zealand ecosystem when you could?" And I'm like, "No, but I care.
This matters. Yeah, this matters.
This matters, and I actually believe I can help." There's a big difference in. I work with a lot of other governments, and it's lovely, but I don't know that I can help you. I believe, perhaps falsely.
No, it's not.
That impact is possible in New Zealand, and I think, but even if it is fractional, woof. Fractional is so fierce of a term.
The last time I had such a ruthless conversation was in 2000 and...
Fractional.
It was 2010.
Oh, Lord.
2010, I sat down with
literally, like, what the fuck?
He's like, your entire country is just too fractional for me to worry about. I'm like, you cocksucker, what the fuck? But he's, in his world,
no, he's so
his last round was 18 billion.
He's right.
He's right.
He's right.
So the last time I felt that shit was like in a commercial conversation was 2010. And I was in the snowboard game, and I had the online side.
I love this.
It's just, this is the savageness, but it's so true. You know,
this is the reality, though. I mean, I feel this way with the VC. Even when I'm like, where's this all to me? American Silicon Valley VCs. What do I do? Still work with American Silicon Valley VCs because this is what makes the world run. Like, there's just reality. And not those, but, you know.
So I was 2010, how old would I have been? 24. And I was trying to make a power play. I owned snowboard website, New Zealand's biggest snowboard website, and I was trying to buy the snowboard magazine. My whole game plan was, let's sync them up together. We do the digital B-roll shit online. We sync it up into the polish thing in the magazine. It's going to be done. And in my world at the time, at 24, I'm like, this is the biggest shit in my world. Like,
this is it.
If I can flip in,
this is it.
If I can pull this off, I'm gonna just flop it out.
The next Richard Branson. No, you are on crescendo to peak.
Yeah,
and I feel you on this. This is like.
So,
I've been in these moments where I'm like, this is my moment.
This is it, right? Okay.
For the record, it's never been my moment. But
So I'm 24, and I sit down with.
Which is super peak.
Super peak. So I'm like, I'm full like alpha male.
Alpha emo. Are you emo yet, or just alpha?
No, I've always been alpha emo, but I was like, now it's more alpha than emo, right?
Yeah, this is why I'm still trying to. Important context. Yeah,
I'm trying to beat the chest. I'm trying to flip and like do my thing.
You're fucking showing off right now.
I'm trying to stamp it. I need to stamp it.
Oh, you need that.
I need to stamp it.
Definitely need to.
So I sit down with this. Well, he's probably one of California's.
Sorry, it's amazing.
I wouldn't say he's like on the rich list, but he's up there in California. He's up there, and it was through a mutual friend.
Beast mode in Cali.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Right here.
So he's beast mode in Cali. He does gnarly big shit. I had a connection with him through family shit, whatever. I never have asked him for anything.
Oh no, this is where I love to sit.
Never. Yeah.
I have not asked you.
Never asked for anything.
Now is our moment.
Now is my moment. I said, hey bro, look, can I take you out for drinks? I got to talk to you about some shit. So, all right, sweet. So we go out.
And you get the time, because that's what we've waited for the time.
I've waited for my time. I've waited years for my time.
Oh no, we sit there toiling.
Yep. So I take him out and I explain to him for like in 30 minutes. I said, bro, okay, I've got this online piece. I've got these plings here. We're gonna plug it in. We're gonna go into the print and we're gonna sync it up. We're gonna sell the whole thing. Right? I give him the whole thing.
Oh yeah, you're ready.
He just asked one question. What's the print run? And I was like, oh, it's like New Zealand's biggest like snowboard website, like magazine. It's like the biggest, like the dude. It is the biggest. It is the biggest. He's like, so what's the print run? I was like, oh, bro, like it's like 10,000. And he goes, 10,000. And I'm like, yeah, bro, it's like New Zealand's biggest.
Yeah, like
snowboard
you're
mag. Like, dude, it is the biggest. And he goes, that's like my local newspaper. This is not worth your time. And I'm like, and so my
just
whole
immediate.
thing just like built all the way up, and then in like one sentence I was like, meh.
It's immediate how like your turtle shell will just come up and over.
And it was so good because it gave you instant perspective of like there's levels to the shit. There's levels to the shit. Like Meek Mill had this, he's got this like thing called levels. He's like, there's levels to the shit. There's levels to the shit. And you think about the bubble you're in, there's levels to the shit. So New Zealand, which I give the most shits about, in his world, isn't worth, it's too fractional for his time. That guy in his world, when he's doing like hundreds of millions of shit, when I talk about a print run of 10,000, there's levels to the shit. Oh, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, missed that one. Oh, cool. Thanks, Brent. Appreciate it. Cheers, bro. And I was like, but it's humbling, and it's sometimes you need to be humbled and put like
every now and again you just need to know like
you ain't shit.
Well, and it goes vice versa. Like I think sometimes I've done big lineups and then I've stepped onto stages and they're like, do you understand? Like this is the whole world is watching, and I'm like, no, it's not. This is just some event, or this is just some other thing. And it's like, no, this is how you need to understand how this works. And I think when you go out in the world and create or found or build, you don't know exactly when your moment is going to happen or what it's going to look like, or
the context of the moment.
Exactly. Or even
I get it.
Even how to recognize when you are slightly visible. And I think that's actually half the thing, is you're looking for something or you're hoping for something, and all of a sudden you get this look. Take the look. I mean, take the look. Take every look. One of the things I was thinking about with early founders coming back out of the pandemic, I'd actually be curious about your opinion about this. A lot of the companies I advised were like, well, what do we do? We're finally back on stage. And I said, take every look.
Yep.
Like it doesn't, we'll figure it out, but if you can have a stage, have an opportunity to be on a panel, share a video, whatever that is, take every look right now, because who knows? Like your audience may resonate with different things. Maybe we haven't gotten down a certain path. We don't have any idea what the future holds at this stage. It's been a dicey
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Yeah. So on that, I was keen little segue. COVID, relationships, friendships.
Yes.
What have you learned the most about friendships through COVID? We've both got thoughts.
Friendship is and I'm really big on this, so I should open this properly. So I don't have a lot of nuclear family or biological family. I have a very important chosen family.
Yeah.
So friendship to me is family. And one of the things that was really powerful for me, the pandemic was isolating. I live alone, I'm single, no siblings, no roommates, no nothing. And one of the things that was so powerful to me throughout the pandemic was who showed up. And showing up to me, I think, is one of the most valuable things you do as a person, period, full stop. Investor, partner, lover, son, mother, daughter, auntie, it doesn't matter. The best thing you do for your people is show up. And that could be show up to the Zoom, show up to the text thread, show up to the FaceTime on the Friday night. Whatever that is, you show up. And if you show up, people will believe in you, people will trust you, and everything sort of works out. So in terms of who showed up for me, man, international global speaker with a business stretched across 3 continents before this, isolated in her apartment. I think the biggest surprise to me was who really loved me, and in a really sweet way.
That's cool.
The friends who didn't care when I wasn't on stage, didn't care when I wasn't, I mean, when I was on cam and I did a lot of fundraisers. I've probably done 150 talks since the pandemic started, most of them virtual, very few of them paid, just given the nature of the beast, but some of them, bless you all. And when the stage got stripped from me, when my visibility got stripped from me, who called? Who cared? Who cared when I wasn't famous or when I wasn't on NBC Nightly News? And that to me was a really beautiful illustration. Filter. Yeah, you and I both talked a lot about filters. Filters are a big thing for us, and I had a lot of people who really enjoyed being associated with me with a certain level of spotlight. And then even friends who liked asking questions about the spotlight, and almost, and I don't mean this as an attack on them, but almost I felt reveled in my grace from the fall from that. Like, people were like, oh wow, it must be really hard now that you're not on stage. And I said, yeah, it's actually broken me. If you want to know the truth, that is my best self. Yeah. So now I can't have that, and that's not a fake self. That's actually me as my best person. And I said, oh, it must be really hard not to be on stage. And there was almost like that snicker of like, how will we watch the flower wilt now that she can't have her blossoming moment?
Isn't that interesting? And
it was very, that was one of the key things. Yeah, it was very disappointing. Like, I firmly believe in the friend renaissance. It's something we were talking about lately, where I think the friendships that we value, we will pour more into now in the coming 5 years, because we've seen how you'll be when we're invisible. We've seen how you'll be when we're not famous. We've seen how you'll be when there isn't direct benefit to association. And
clout.
Yeah, exactly. Clout, social proof, halo effect, whatever it is. Like, one of the things that I love is the people who have been there for me for the last 2 years. Those are my ride or dies. Like, actions speak louder than words. The squad that's been around. It's very easy to like someone when they are doing the Today Show in the morning and 10 million people are watching, or I'm doing NBC Nightly News, or you know, you're popping with a radio show, or whatever it is. It's really easy to like the familiar voice and the famous voice. It's a true friend to be there for a creator when their medium is gone. And I think for almost all creators, our medium was changed or modified over the last 2 years. And yeah, you've always done a podcast. Yeah, I've always created audio content. Yeah, there's always stuff that we've always done. But either way, there was a shift. And the true friends were there to support or listen, or even just say, hey, do you want me to share your content with someone in particular? Which I had friends who never listen to my content, not because they don't like it, it's just they're tired, they make content as well. How can I help you in LA? How can I help you in New York? Who do you want to meet? What show or reel or sizzle could I put in front of someone to help you out? And I think that's been one of the other things that's like really dope about the friend renaissance is we were all for each other. And I think we were all always advocates. But I think one of the cool things is we're trying to find ways to bring our friends to our cities or our places. And one of the ways of doing that is saying, hey, I can put your music in front of this venue, or I can facilitate this, or at least bring you in.
They proactively help you to get up.
Like as much as we all believe everyone will end up in the same place as us again, we all know that travel changed throughout the course of this. And if there's a way that I can facilitate your brilliance or your music or your art in my city, I am going to do, and then in any of the cities that I have influence, I am going to actually step into that far greater. I mean, I always would have done that for you, but I feel like I do that even more because I want you to have the excuse. I want you to feel safe here. I want you to feel like you'll make money here. I want you to feel like, this is San Francisco.
So basically your kind of filter on it was those that actually had your back tried to help you build when those who was convenient friendship around what you did dropped away because there wasn't instant gratification for the clout that you had.
100%.
Interesting.
I would say it was a help build, or one of the other ways I really feel that my community helps me, and I understand that some people can help me elevate and amplify, but the other really core tenet of my community is they ask me the right questions. So I work with a lot of young people, and the young people who ask me the tough questions are actually who I think are really in my community. Like, I care about answering your question, and even if I don't know the answer, I will figure it out, or I will talk to you, or I will talk to, okay, what's it like to be a minority in the United States doing this as Robett? Like, let's talk about it. Like, I would love to have that conversation.
It's interesting.
And I think for me, the kids, the tougher the question from the young people I mentor, the more I realized they were actually in my court, which was strange because they're looking for help. But meanwhile, and I mean not real, but meanwhile, when they reach out to me with, hey, Savvy, I'm really struggling with this identity question, or I'm really struggling with this personal branding question, the fact that they're engaging with me means that they care and they trust me.
So what percentage of your friend circle do you think dropped off during the last couple of years? Or your friend network / acquaintance?
It's an excellent question. I'd say my gut response to that, and I think it's probably accurate, is 30%.
Holy shit, really? Huh.
25 to 30%. I mean,
then what percentage stepped up more than you would have thought? More than 30?
I'd say it's similar. I'd say it's probably
you refreshed the system.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. It's about a third that I realized was transactional. Like painfully to the point of, I remember, and I'm sure you remember this day, like in your pandemic cycle. So for me, it was March 6th, 2020, and I had $100,000 in speaking business cancel in one day. So it was...
That's a chunk.
And it's a gift just to be offered that, just to be clear. But like, it was like event. I got on a train from in the wine country, where was I? I can't even remember. In the wine country of outside of Wellington, and took a train into Wellington. And it was one of those moments where I turned off my phone on the train ride, and from the start and stop of that 1.5 hour train ride,
lost a honey.
Lost a honey clean. like I don't think I've ever, and I mean, I do deals, like losing $100,000 in a day is not a thing with my business. Like we're still on the scale where
it's chunky.
That's a thing, and we value the money that we make. But it was one of those things where I literally was like, oh, what a lovely ride. I'll have a glass of wine and whatever. And I turned my email back on as we were pulling into the station, and it was literally like small gag. There's actually a photo of me at a German bar in Wellington after this happens, because I'm literally like,
what the fuck?
Trying to stomach the actual palpable gag, because you don't know when the bleeding's going to stop, right? So
I wouldn't have thought 2 years.
It's one of those things where I'm like, oh fuck, okay, so that's six figures. That's six figures in 40 minutes. What's going to happen over the next few years? And I'm sure for most of us, we've lost, $1 million or whatever. Like, for me, I sort of see the pandemic as eating $1 million, and it's not that I had that $1 million for it to eat. It was the potential. It was the trajectory. It was, if you're a startup and you felt like you were on that path, this is a different time for that now. It's a much more controlled and quelled investing ecosystem. Yes, there's a lot of support for you, but it's tough. It's tough to take that in the face.
Yeah, my 30. So you say you lost 30. It's weird. I kind of think of it in these 3 layers, where I had this triangle of like innocent, and so I think of it 2 ways, or kind of one main way, but 2 ways. Is I think of my triangle of my friendships and acquaintances and like homies and boysies and crew and network, and like I've got like
fam.
A stack, like fam, crew, boysies, blah blah, it goes down. A few in my top tier that, and I said to you before, Sav, was that I thought were in my circle were not in my corner. And stomaching that to go like,
I think that's actually almost like a 30% hit, because that's your core.
It's my core. It's like my part of my heart.
Like to me, that's like I only got violated really maybe by 1, if any. But in which they kind of dropped off.
I got a few more than that.
No, but I had taken the sting. I had taken the sting in the 2 years prior to the pandemic. I had really had to eat it on people I thought had my back, and it hurt. I mean, the things
we're similar where we
oh man, we
get emotional. We're probably very similar. We get emotionally invested into how much I know I've given, and I've lost a couple of friendships in the past before.
And I want to give that. Like it's
agreed.
It's our heart is on the table.
Agreed.
And when you lay it there, and you say, "Oh gosh, I really want this to happen,"
because you know how much you love it,
and you want to see it succeed. Like the difference for me is, I mean, we're capitalists. We're also empaths. Like that's an interesting, different paradigm. And when people don't see you lay it on the line and try and do well, and then they stifle you a little bit. Like the most hurt I've ever been is by this squad, who all of a sudden thought I had changed, when all I was doing was trying to what we were talking about earlier, open the door, lower the hatch to the moat, to let other people aboard, to 100%. Let other people rise with us. And it's not even that I'm even rising. I just want you to have access to whatever I have access to. And it's it's really special how people can't.
I found it really tricky. Like, because I had like
it's painful,
that top part, which I love, felt like I lost some, and then in the middle, a couple that were like I hadn't had a chance to spend as much time with stepped up a lot more, like literally out of the blue. Audio voice messages on WhatsApp, literally like,
oh hey,
yo
mate.
Homie, what's up bro, I haven't talked to you in ages, just want to let you know I'm thinking about you, hope you're all G. Flip, I know it's a flipping gong show out there right now, you're a flipping good bastard, keep your head up, it'll be all G, you're my
Those
boy.
mean so
and
much.
I'm like,
dude, you're almost emo on
like
that, right?
that, yeah.
Right? Is that not an alpha emo moment?
For that more much for me anyway, I felt like that meant so much more than just so much that others. And so weirdly enough, my perspective of friendships have shifted a little bit, where I've gone, I felt I would always be like, I know that a lot of the shit that I do is never seen publicly, with the amount of unscalable shit I try to do that's not seen. Like the amount of shit that I try to that I try to do, right?
You're a bit like me. We prototype everything, and we're just like, how do we help?
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
That I try. But it was really cool to kind of see like love, and I reached out to him. I said, hey man, like you won't probably like realize the significance of this, but just so you know, out of all the people I know that I interact with that I'd go back for, you're probably in the 1% that's actually come back the other way, because other people are so used to having me to them.
100%.
And when it flips, you feel like way more kind of emotional depth out of respect of the relationships for it. So for basically mine was like, in my top circle, a bunch dropped off that I had emotionally overinvested more into than they did for me, because physically I wasn't there, so it felt like I'd been forgotten a little bit. And I was like, their bubble goes on, and so it's like, hey, look, I get that, like that's all LG. Simultaneously, there was some in the second spot that it felt like it bubbled up. The third bit, which is interesting, which is the sort of more bottom tier of, I guess, engagement or acquaintance or just like networks and connections, I feel it beefed up way more because the communication lines have been able to discuss anything with anything, even though if you're not physically there, has built so much more almost
totally different
relationship capital, even though I haven't been there. So when we're now engaging on the second level, we've already got so much more depth because it feels like we've had a bit more on the other side.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Whole different ballgame.
And I love it. Remote work has finally caught up.
Yeah.
And that's been something I've been advocating for since I started my company 6 years ago was, why do we need an office? Why do we need all of this? I would rather we spent time on a sense of purpose.
Together.
Yes. And so I would much rather we had a really nice meal together. I would much rather we had a great 2 days to collaborate on whatever project we're working on. That doesn't require me having an HQ. My company has never had an HQ. It's because I fundamentally believe in spending on things like this. Like, I would rather we spent on connection than consistency in a commercial sense. And that's a choice, but it's also, it gives the company freedom to do what they want to do. Or like, my team in BC is like, hey, we want to take a couple people out to dinner this week. I'm like, great. Go. Do we have a budget? No. We're coming out of pandemic land. I mean, obviously don't obtusely put me in the fuckery, but like, treat whoever you want to treat. Do whatever you want to do. This is obviously a time when we should do that, and I trust you. Go out and explore.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. It was great. It was really good. It was awesome. Thanks, brother. So how does this whole thing, do you think, play out now? The world's opening back up, people are connecting back in, that your friend renaissance is a thing, travel is opening up, people are starting to move around, your position of friendships has changed, your momentum, you're out and about in the wild doing your thing. Like, how do you think this plays out, say, for in the New Zealand context in the next 24 months?
I think intentional time is going to be more powerful than ever. And whether that's
interesting
intentional time, company to VC, company to advisor, company to audience, it's extremely critical. We're coming out of a phase where we were all extraordinarily isolated, disillusioned, and distracted.
Yep.
And now if you want our attention and you want it to be focused, that needs to be a concerted effort. And I think that, cheers. Yes, by all means. And I think that that's an opportunity for both the startup sector as well as all of us in the thought leadership land to really step into that and be like, all right, are we going to host real conversations, or are we going to host...
Do you think it'll get realer?
I hope so.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's been, and you're the third person to ask me this week the same question, and I don't say that to be pedestrian. I say that because it's obviously a hot topic. I really want this to be the turn. I've been someone who's been talking about mental health and dealing with it for fucking 30 years, and I hope that we can achieve a state where even if it's not perfect, there's a different conversation around how we treat both mental health as well as founder success as well as camera success. I mean, you and I are people who are in front of the camera, like one of the most...
Face for radio now, though. Face for radio. But
for the record, I just want to address this for everyone because this is actually a thing that Robett is talking about.
What am I talking about?
It is. But this will shy people off of camera. So there's a saying in the television industry. I started in sports television, and obviously Robett has had some experience, is that you can have a face for radio and a voice for television. It's like a really shitty joke, but the point being that you fit anywhere and you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself just because you don't have a blonde perm leading into.
Or bald. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you work bald well.
I mean, this is the funny thing about like hair. Just on a random side note.
No, let's talk about hair.
No. Like,
I'd love to talk about hair.
The day because I used to have, when I was shredding, I used to have like long, massive flowing locks, like massive. It was like down to my shoulders, just like, I was like a homeless.
We'll have to see a cut to this.
I'll show you. It's like I look like a flipping homeless hobo.
What? I've missed
Yeah,
this.
seriously. But then when
Straight up.
the day that I had to, because I started losing at the front a little bit, and it stayed the same for like 10 years.
Oh no, I get this. If I was like you, the second.
The day I did this, I went straight to the bar. I was like, bro, just cut the shit off, bro. I don't give a shit. Like, done.
No.
And he was like, wait, what? I was like, bro, I don't care. Like, done. And I came home, and wifey was like, what the fuck? And I was like, but I don't care. And she's like, what? Okay. And we just like got on with it. But for me, it's not a big deal. But for so many people, it's a thing.
Do you see how it's a thing?
Yeah. Well, recently I can tell it's a thing. I don't care.
Obviously, you don't. And I love your style, because that to me would be like. I think about this a lot as a woman in front of whatever. Like,
yeah, but you have way more you have more standards with like looks. Like,
well, I have to because I'm
because it's a female.
under the whole scrutiny. But like, if it was like a thing of like, you know, if we all shaved our heads for whatever posterity, or I totally would. Or like if there was like some sort of situation, right, where like that was a moment, I would be happy to do it, but vanity as a woman is very different than vanity as a male. But I love your steez of just like, all right, well, this is getting dicey, I'll just shave my head.
The single day it happened, I just was like, no, I'm not going to be that guy.
So did you go from long to full?
Like, it was like shorter, but then just on one day I was just straight off, and I've just, and now I can't,
never gone back.
I save like a grand. I've talked to wifey about this.
Oh no, this is the whole thing. So I would love to actually talk about how much fucking money I spent on my hair.
Okay,
because
how much did I save?
It is, no, let's talk about it in terms of not what I spend, but what you save. Because this is actually a thing I have thought about, and part of why I used to dye my hair multiple colors and keep it really short. It costs way more to do that. So tell me, Robett, what do you save by not doing your hair?
So every Sunday at 9 o'clock, I've got it scheduled into my calendar. I charge my Fitbit, I charge my Ring camera on the front and the back of the house, and I go into the back and I shave my own head. And what I do is,
this is your moment.
I've got a routine. I've got like I've got a thing. That's why every
Sorry,
Sunday,
this is so legit.
Sunday morning,
this is so legit.
I go 9 o'clock. It's in my calendar.
9 a.m. Right?
9 a.m.
9
It's like boom, charging. So then it's like the cameras
everything's
are
off.
Everything's
you've
off.
removed. I feel like you've removed
I've
every
removed
device. You're like.
I go out of my boxes in the backyard, and I've got this.
You're out there.
This is so stupid. I've got a triple mirror, which I open out. Like it's like.
Oh no, it's a trifold.
It's a trifold.
It's a full trifold. Oh, I know where you're at. This is like for those not familiar, this is like a presentation for like a fourth grader when they're doing their science fair. It's a full trifold mirror, right? You have side, left, and front, and you can rotate. Okay, just to be clear. I want to live in your trifold right now.
I have a trifold mirror.
Okay.
And literally, I'm just like straight buzz, and I'm just like, I just go town. And
are you just like a 1, or where are you at?
I don't care. I just go zero. Like the most.
You go
like,
zero and
just boom the whole thing off, and I don't
face everything,
don't
or
care.
just
all it done. And I do it in one hand. And I
how long does it take you?
About 10 minutes.
And are you out there though with the mirror and the whole vibe?
The whole vibe, mirror, the whole thing. I plug it up. I put my phone in, music on. I open it out, and I can see the back. I'm like, let's just go to town. So I'm done.
Let's just crush.
But an average haircut for a dude would be like $30.
Men, I would say 40 in the Bay.
And you tip 10.
Yeah,
40.
so I would say 40, 50. Men.
40. So you do it
even with no hair.
You do it every 2 weeks. You're already at like the 800 to 1,000 a month, a year. So for me, I'm like, dude, I've just saved like, literally the way I thought of it is like, dude, I've saved like 70 grand just by just doing this one thing.
Oh no, totally. And your whole vibe.
Even better is my t-shirts and my outfit and everything. I have the freedom to wear the same thing every day. No one knows the difference. I can put up content from 2 years ago.
Oh no, it's one of the things that's great about certain outfits.
It's so good.
I have like 5 outfits for this reason, so I can do. I'm not
but
quite like you.
You got the power yellow.
I got the power yellow, the power pink, and the power black, and then I have like a blue blazer and a velvet blazer.
Power blazer.
But I can rotate between them enough to where even I do like to change my clothes, but I don't have to vary too much for your exact reason, where you can sort of cycle content through and not have to give up the rank.
I just think guys have way more. Maybe I'm just a basic bitch though, but I am just so pumped on the fact that my life's so simple that I can just
lucky.
wear the same. And
even today, I was like, I know I want to wear this top, but do I have to wear a skirt or do I have to wear pants? And I knew I wanted to wear black. So
you knew what I'd wear.
For the audience to know, I wanted to match Robett as much as possible. And I was thinking about this because I was like, no, it's not basic. It's New York uniform, but it's also like stylish, and it's also no logo. So
I changed my shoes.
You actually have Nike logos on your shoes, which had I known, I would have worn. I almost wore my Air Force Ones today, and I would have had I known you were wearing Air Force Ones.
I got my socks with my daughter's faces on them. You see that?
Oh my God! Wait, that's cute as fuck.
I got them cut. I'm not going to show it because I don't want anyone to see my shit.
No, we don't have to exploit them.
I wear custom.
Can I just say these are cute as fuck?
I wear custom socks with my daughter's faces on them. It's cool. So I still customize a little bit, but it used to be every day would be different shoes or different. And I used to, when I had I don't know, adventures with all my shit, I had 13 different hats. And it was the same A with the same white, but I would have every color, every combo, camo, blue, the whole thing. So I would still have the same thing. I'd then match my shoes to my hat.
Always.
But anyway.
No, I get it. I feel that way.
Sammy, this has been real. I've finished my last thing. Any final words you'd like to say? I think this is going to be a thing. Like Under the Bridge. Like, and we have different.
I love Under the Bridge as a thing.
It's so same friend.
So one thing I want to ask you.
Oh shit.
As a really polite host, is so this is our first time together, and first of all,
on camera.
Yes. Yeah, no, very much on camera. The best part about this is we're real friends, and this is our first camera moment.
Yes.
How can people support brands like you, Kiwi entrepreneurs like you, real talk, no bullshit, none of our facade? If someone's watching this and they want to support other Kiwi brands, other Maori founders, other whatever that is, what's the play? Because you're an inspiration and we all love you.
Sav.
I mean that.
I know you do, which is cool. Culture's tricky because with instant culture becomes respect out of age.
This is why I'm asking you. This is such a good answer. Keep going. I don't want to interrupt you, but like this is exactly why I asked you this question. No, because you have the appropriate cultural touch.
Yeah, so I consistently feel tension, but organic resentment because of culture. I'm not allowed to say. I'm not allowed to fully express me and my thoughts and opinions in certain environments because of the cultural element of where I sit in the totem pole of age, out of respect.
And you feel that within Maori culture
100%.
specifically? Yeah.
Like I feel within commercial cultural constructs, because I am the grommet, like as much alpha rah shit as I am, because I am the young buck grommet, I don't say shit. And we've talked about this before with the little Illuminati Māori text chain that we're on. I don't say, like you're on the chat, I've said maybe...
And you see me, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, brother. Awesome, appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
Desserts are made in-house. The ice cream flavors you can choose from are cookies and cream or vanilla. And then the sorbet flavors
Let's go.
Fusion of pineapple and mango.
Ooh. Cookies and cream ice cream, please, my friend. I know, I'm not even going to mess around.
Pineapple and mango?
Yeah, you got it.
And I'll go one more of the old fashions. Thanks, bro. So within culture, like we're on the same thing, but you know me that outside of that chain, I am like 100x more verbal and
I want to explore this a little bit because
but within that,
I love this.
Don't say shit because A, I'm the young buck. B, I know my place, and C, out of respect.
We're both young bucks, though.
No, but you're different because it sounds really bad because you're not Māori.
Doesn't sound bad at all. I think this is a cool cultural education piece. I don't actually see it as bad.
So if you...
I can be a delinquent.
No, but you're
bulging
invited.
fuck.
You're loved because you're in.
Loved I'm in because I'm reckless and appreciated for my bumpiness.
No.
You are cherished for your heritage.
Yeah,
There's a very different...
But
we sort of bumble in for different reasons.
You can say more than I can in there, even though you're not Māori.
I don't know that I agree with that, but what I will say is...
You know it's true, because for 3 years we've been on the chat and I haven't said shit.
But that's your choice.
No, because out of...
I choose to just throw myself into the fire, and you can't deny that. I will throw whatever up.
But if I did that in that text chain with the Illuminati Māori crew, they would be seen. No. It's seen as it is not my place because I'm not like so. Say within like Māori, like marae context.
No, I know, yeah.
The elders speak. Young bucks shut their face. Mm-hmm. So in that tone, because there's that energy and the respect I have for all of those in it, even though some of them may be totally off or whatever, I don't say shit. And I don't say shit because it's not my place.
So can I ask you a question that may be super ignorant?
No, it's fine.
And please be honest with me.
Yeah.
So as a American non-Maori who elevates you, quite frankly, in that chat, is that offensive or?
No, that's sweet because we're homies, so it's fine.
So it's okay, right?
But
so
see, when you post the one of us, I wouldn't naturally do that.
No, I know you wouldn't do it. But part of what, but you're not offended when I do it, right?
No, not at all. No, it's fine.
No. So
because it's by association.
No, and we love each other, so it's not.
But I'm allowed to be seen more through you than it would be if I pushed.
So part of why I do it is not that I'm trying to like exert anything. No. I'm letting this squad know that because they love both of us. Yes. I'm letting the squad know that we're together. Yes. We're hatching ideas. We're doing things. So like my way of demonstrating that we're spending time together is not about any of the details of the business transaction. I like letting the team know that we're together because I think that comforts some of the squad on the New Zealand side is knowing that you and I are fucking around together and throwing ideas together. So like I literally think of it that way.
See, but it's
and I have no problem bragging about the fact that we spent time together. But I always want to make sure that it's
it's fine. It's more that like.
No, I get your role in it, and I get that I get to be the boasty American. Like that's sort of my.
But it's surreal that I can't.
But that's why I'm asking the question. The whole reason I'm asking the question of this whole dilemma is I don't ever think you or anyone questions why I share, why we collaborate. In fact, I think you and I spending time together benefits New Zealand as a nation.
Agreed.
And I don't mean to say that.
But we're homies anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, but you and I are friends outside. I wouldn't give a fuck where either of us are from. I want to spend time with you.
Culturally, it's just different.
But one of the things that's like a random side effect is I feel like the nation benefits when we fucking shoot the shit. But I think one of the things that's really different is understanding how that's processed or dealt with or whatever. And for you and I, we're just friends. And for other people, it's very much, I don't know. People get very weird about that kind of stuff.
The tricky bit is like culturally within it is, I think if there was a way to empower more of it, it would be, and I'm not trying to tell like older like weapons within the industry, and not just within Māoridom, within the ecosystem of New Zealand.
Honestly, you could say the ecosystem of anywhere. Yeah. Like part of the reason I get fired up is it's everyone. It has nothing. New Zealand is an example. Honestly, other nations are even more guilty.
I think a way that New Zealand would get a lot further faster is if those in a position of power, influence, and leadership in the ecosystem proactively made opportunities to be magnets to pull up more faster from beneath them. And that could look like a variety of different things, but specifically within
just the pull-up. To me,
the pull-up. It's a big gap that's missing because...
Well, I mean, you and I really relate in this way. Like,
it would be... I think New Zealand would just get further faster if there was more of that.
And just knowing, like, I talk about it even with my clients, and it's not, you don't have to pay me for this advice, just for the record. Like, I want to help you feel the confidence to enter this market. And that's a conversation. That's not even just, yeah, of course there are layers to that if you really want to do whatever you want to do. But the point is, there are so many ways to empower people to feel like they have a place in this ecosystem, or have a place at this lunch table, or have a place at whatever.
And many don't feel they're invited, even though they should
exactly.
be. Yeah.
And they don't feel they're invited. And it's like, I see it so much. I never see this. Actually, this is an important point. With my American clients, they never feel like they don't have a seat at the table. With my Kiwi clients, every single one of them question whether or not they belong.
Well, they should.
And I work with a lot of Series A, actually it's C to Series A, B, and then I'm usually helping you on your trajectory, but I'm seeing you early, usually. When we start, we work at all different phases, but what's fascinating about that is they will literally feel like, oh shoot, like maybe I've like missed the opportunity or whatever. And this is American and Kiwi. What they don't realize is everyone wants a piece of a great opportunity. Own your seat at the table there and fuck with it a little bit. Like, don't